is sponsored by Ram Trucks, built to serve.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to First Things First. I'm Jenna Wolf. That's Nick Wright. Danny Cannell joining us. Good morning,
What up,
Danny.
man? How we doing?
Across
Good to see you.
the
Doing all right?
Thursday.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming in, brother. It's great to see you.
We have a great Thursday show for you today, and we're going to jump right in by talking about the Dallas Cowboys. Yet more drama in Dallas. Cowboys are heading into Week 11. A little shy of preseason expectations, not what you'd expect when your quarterback is having a tremendous year, when your running back is Ezekiel Elliott, and when, for the most part, you've been healthy. But at 5-4, and in a tie with Philly in the NFC East, and with Jerry Jones making comments about the run game, everyone in Dallas is on alert, including Zeke himself. He was asked if he was surprised by where the team is right now. Take a listen to what he had to say.
I mean, I wouldn't say be surprised. I mean, this is NFL football, so I mean, every team is good. Every team has great players, and if you don't go out there and handle your business, you're gonna lose ball games. So I mean, I think it's all on us in this locker room. It's all about us. It's all on us to turn it around. It's all on us to go out there and play better.
Nick, Ezekiel Elliott may not be surprised, but are you a little surprised by their 5-4 record at this point?
How they've looked compared to their record, their stats compared to their record, and their stature in the league because of their record, I think all of it's at least somewhat surprising, especially given the level of play from Dak Prescott, who going into the year, that was the biggest question mark I had about this football team is that we knew Dak was going to get paid. Now, he oddly has not yet been paid, but he was going to be paid like one of the top 6 or 7 quarterbacks in football. I didn't think he could play up to that standard. Thus far this season, he has, and yet they're 5-4. And now I think most people would say they should at the very least be 6-3 because everyone's going to circle that Jets game, and all year long they're going to circle that Jets game, and they 100%, Jenna, they absolutely should circle the Jets game, and they don't have a game to offset it. It's not like, well, we lost to the Jets, but we did beat Green Bay, a Green Bay team that looks like one of the best in football, if not the best in football. Their best win, of course, is the home game against Philly, which I think they were the favorite. Not I think, I know they were the favorite, and they're supposed to win that game. And so when you look at this team, Zeke can't say it, and I don't think he should say it, but it's hard to find a specific reason they've underachieved, at least to a degree, if not a large degree, that doesn't involve the coaching staff. Because Dak's playing better than I could have expected. Zeke's numbers are a tick off his career averages, but he's still, Danny, on pace for 1,400 yards rushing, which is a great season by any running back standards. And they have not been ravaged by injuries. They've had injuries here and there, but they haven't been a team that's just been ruined by injuries like the Chargers were early in the year, like Kansas City was dealing with about the quarter pole of the season. And so why do you start slow? Why can't you win close games? Why are you slightly underachieving? Those are all coaching issues to me. Zeke can't say it, but that's where I'd lay the blame for the Cowboys being at least 20% below record-wise expectations where they should be.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with everything you said. The Jets game is the one thing that was a surprising loss, especially not only because it was the Jets this year, but because of when it came. They had lost 2 in a row, backs against the wall, in a must-win situation, and they come to New York and lay an absolute egg against one of the worst teams in the league. That was surprising in itself. But as far as where they are, 5-4, 6-3, there's not a huge difference there. If you look at Jason Garrett's tenure, throughout his tenure as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, it's always been around 8-8, 9-7. So they're on track exactly for what they've been. Now, he has been better since Dak and Zeke's rookie year when they went 13-3. Then you followed that with the 10-6. This year they're 5-4. So as I totally agree with you with if you look at why they're here, I do put it on the head coach, and I put it on Jason Garrett. And the only thing that I think is a little bit concerning if you look at the Cowboys, show me a game they've won that they weren't supposed to.
Exactly.
You know, and like that's not a very good team. That's a good team, but it's not a great team. So like, can we take them seriously throughout the rest of the season as a very serious playoff contender? I have very big doubts about that.
And this is where the schedule matters, is that you look at it and you're like, hold on, they have been favored in 7 of their games. They only have 5 wins. They've been underdogs, so all their wins they were supposed to have. 2 of their losses they were supposed to win, and then the 2 games they were underdogs, the game against New Orleans where they were a tick underdog, and the game against Green Bay, they end up coming up short. That's the biggest disappointment. In fact, you know what, while I'm saying that, I realized they were actually a slight favorite against Green Bay. So they've been the Vegas favored in 8 of their 9 football games, and yet they sit here today with only 5 victories.
Danny said they're a good team, they're not a great team. Why aren't they a great team? Dak Prescott's having a great year. Ezekiel Elliott is basically on par. They got Amari Cooper, who's been a little banged up, still playing. For the most part, they've been healthy. Why aren't they a great team?
I think there's a couple things. I think defensively, they're weaker than we would think. Offensively, they're doing exactly what they would expect. But at some point, you do have to look at the coaching staff, which is kind of rare. We don't do this a lot with a lot of teams. We want to put a lot of blame on the players, on the players, on the players.
The players play.
Absolutely, they do. And that's the case most of the time. But I do think Jason Garrett should be held to task in this situation specifically, saying, all right, when are you going to be a reason that this team takes the next step? And I think it does. Look, when you see a team come out flat, I do think that falls on the coaching staff, right? To have a pulse of the team. Where are you in preparation? Where are you mentally the night before the game, the week leading up to the game? Because, and the Cowboys did flip the switch in that game. They made it close at the end, but they came out flat, which to me, yes, it's on the leaders of that team in that locker room, but that's got to fall on Jason Garrett's shoulders.
And at this point in the season, and to use a somewhat famous quote, you are what your record says you are. And there's 10 teams in football with a better record than Dallas. San Francisco, Seattle, Green Bay, New Orleans, Minnesota in the NFC. New England, Baltimore, Houston, Kansas City, Buffalo in the AFC. But what's more concerning is look at the other 5 and 4 teams and either what they've been through or what we think of them. There is the Oakland Raiders, who I think are an optimistic 5 and 4.
Sure.
A team that has overachieved. Pittsburgh. They lost their quarterback for the year. Indy lost their quarterback right before the year and then lost a game because their secondary quarterback, Jacoby Brissett, couldn't play, and Brian Hoyer came out and was terrible this past weekend. Carolina, they lost their quarterback for the year. They actually, record-wise, got better since then. They're 5 and 4. Then there are, you could argue, the 3 most disappointing teams that are still relevant at this point in the season. So not Cleveland, not Atlanta. The Los Angeles Rams, who we placed, to me, a ton of that blame on Todd Gurley's injury and Jared Goff's deterioration. The Philadelphia Eagles, who have been inexplicably mediocre all year, and the Dallas Cowboys. Like, all 5 and 4s are not created equal. Oakland, Pittsburgh, Carolina, Indy, I think have to feel pretty good about being 5 and 4. Those 3 other teams, Philly, the Rams, and the Cowboys, have to feel like, really, this is the best we can do through 9 games?
And let me just add something to what you just said. Of all the NFC teams up until this point, only the Niners have had an easier schedule than the Cowboys have played so far. So when you look at that 5 and 4, you factor that into it. Do you think they have enough to make a run now?
I think they have enough. So I thought coming into the season they were going to win the NFC East. They're in position to do that. But when you look at how they played against teams outside of the NFC East, they're 1 and 4, and the one win outside of the NFC East is the Miami Dolphins. Like, they're just, I don't know how seriously you can take them against the other teams that are good, like the Packers, like the Saints, like the Seahawks, or the 49ers. They're just, it's hard to picture them taking that next step from what we've seen this year, because it just hasn't happened.
And to your point about the schedule, Jenna, to me right now, if the NFL season was a 400-meter dash, the Cowboys had the outside lane. And so they start to where it looks like they're ahead. But if going into the last half of the race, they're even with someone who's on the inside lane, they're dead.
Great way to describe that.
And right now, Philly, they've already had their tough part of the schedule. So they might be even in the standings, but Philly has the far cleaner path to the division. That's why I think Philly, not just because they were my preseason pick, because they're my preseason pick for the 2 seed, and that is out the window. They have way underachieved. The Cowboys are right now, to me, the clear underdogs in the division, even though they're undefeated in the division and they beat Philly straight up, because what they're going to have to do to win the division the rest of the way is something they have not been able to do up to this point, which is win a game they're not supposed to, beat a true quality opponent. They haven't shown me the ability to do that. And that ultimately is more disappointing than the record itself because of what it says about the team, given the level of talent and the fact that Jerry Jones gave them all the resources. All those guys, it's not like, man, we can't bring Zeke. We're going to trade Zeke because we can't pay him.
Here.
They brought everyone back. They said, we'll deal with 2022 problems in 2022. Let's try to win right now. And instead, they're right in that mediocre range where they don't want to be.
The next 2 weeks, 2 road trips at Detroit and at New England. You're going to find out a lot more about this Dallas Cowboys team. The problem is, I think they probably go 1-1. And we're having the exact same discussion in a few weeks.
Good. It's good for ratings. Danny, I don't know if you've been here for Thursday night during football season. We all hang out at Nick's house for Thursday night football.
It's not hard, actually.
Yeah,
Party's at Nick's. Let's go.